The Grasshopper and the Owl. An owl who lived in a hollow tree was in the habit of feeding by night and sleeping by day, but her slumbers were greatly disturbed by the chirping of a grasshopper who had taken up his abode in the branches. She begged him repeatedly to have some consideration for her comforts, but the grasshopper, if anything, only chirped the louder, and at last the owl could stand it no longer, but determined to rid herself of the past by means of a trick. Addressing herself to the grasshopper, she said in her pleasant manner, "As I cannot sleep for your song, which, believe me, is as sweet as the notes of Apollo's lyre, I have a mind to taste some nectar which Minerva gave me the other day. Won't you come in and join me?" The grasshopper was flattered by the praise of his song, and his mouth too watered at the mention of the delicious drink. So he said he would be delighted. No sooner had he got inside the hollow where the owl was sitting, than she pounced upon him and ate him up. The Grasshopper and the Ants. One fine day in winter, some ants were busily drying their store of corn, which had got rather damp during a long spell of rain. Presently up came a grasshopper and begged them to spare her a few grains, for, she said, "I am simply starving." The ants stopped work for a moment, though this was against their principles. "May we ask," they said, "what you were doing with yourself at the last summer? Why didn't you collect a store of food for the winter?" "The fact is," replied the grasshopper, "I was too busy singing that I hadn't the time." "If you'd spent the summer singing," replied the ants, "you can't do better than to spend the winter dancing." And they chuckled and went on with their work. The Farmer and the Viper. One winter a farmer found a viper frozen and numb with cold, and out of pity picked it up and placed it in his bosom. The viper was no sooner revived by the warmth than it turned upon his benefactor and inflicted a fatal bite upon him. As the poor man lay dying, he cried, "I have only got what I deserve for taking compassion on such a villainous creature." Kindness is thrown away upon the evil. The Two Frogs. Two frogs were neighbours. One lived in a marsh where there was plenty of water, which frogs love, and the other was in a lane some distance away, where all the water to be was that which lay in the ruts after the rain. The marsh frog warned his friend and pressed him to come and live with him at the marsh, for he would find his quarters there far more comfortable and, what was still more important, more safe. But the other refused, saying that he could not bring himself to move from a place to which he had become accustomed. A few days afterwards, a heavy wagon came down the lane, and he was crushed to death under the wheels.